that's not going to happen. But Bob, I don't know. I've been on the other side of it most of the time, to be honest with you.
Because in the health situation of your team right now, do you like having the day off? Or sometimes you've said, I'd just as soon go play.
I think we do better just going flying, to be honest with you. You get in that routine, and our routine pretty much has been you play, you take a day off, you practice 2 days, and you play again. Or you play, you have 1 day and then you play again. It hasn't been much more than, I guess, a couple weeks ago we gave them 2 days off. But that was pretty much just to get back to 2 days prep and play, rather than practicing for 3 days in the line.
Does Joel have a future at point guard now?
Well, we recruited him to do. I think we recruited him and Tariq to be point guards.
What did you see there when he said he didn't play all the time?
He didn't play point in high school, but he did in AAU.
Okay.
I didn't see him play high school until after we'd already signed him. I saw him, he was playing point guard on his AAU team.
Coach, how good of a conference tournament do you think this is going to be coming up this weekend, especially how tough the conference has been?
Horrible. Bad coaches, bad players. Awful. We've had 8 teams ranked in the top 25 in the country. It's the #1 RPI league in the country. What kind of tournament you think it's going to be? Pretty good.
Are there any differences at all in terms of preparation for postseason as opposed to what you guys go through in the regular season?
Justin, I think they understand the finality of it. I think it's different. Like a year ago, we knew we had to win some games, to get the NCAA tournament. Where that's not the case this year. But we're still playing for a seed. As much as the talking heads would tell you that the conference tournament doesn't matter, that's a lie. It does matter. So they'll understand.
How do you feel about winning Coach of the Year?
It's a tribute to these guys. Most of the time somebody who has a couple bad years and then has a good year ends up being Coach of the Year, so I just assume not to be Coach of the Year.
Do you hope that Devin can become kind of like the player that Rico Gathers is at some point in his career?
I think he already is, isn't he? He's got whatever he's got, 16 or 17 double-doubles already in his career. I think he already has. I think if you talk to the other post guys in the league, they would say Devin is already there.
The amount of shooters Baylor has, are they one of the more difficult guards in the league? Are they maybe the toughest guard?
I think it's a combination, Justin. I don't think it's just that they shoot the ball. Their length really causes problems. And how well their guys that are whatever 6'6", 6'7", handle and pass the ball. I think Scott's done a great job of recruiting a bunch of long guys that fit his defensive scheme that also really shoot the ball well and really pass the ball well. If you go back and watch our games against them, what the announcers constantly talk about is the ball don't stick. They don't have sticky fingers. They pass the ball. The ball doesn't stay in one guy's hands very long. And if you think back to the game in Waco, but I think there were 3 times where they hit a shot right at the buzzer and just and we really played pretty good defense. I mean, we made rotations and we rotated out of doubles and we did some good stuff. And where most teams, the ball doesn't get past that many times out of it.
You know, you've often said the key for you guys is to get it to the other team's bench. When they're bringing a guy like Prince off their bench, does that counterbalance any of that? Or?
Well, they didn't have 11 when we had 11.
Right. Okay.
They didn't have 11. So if we could have got deep enough in their bench, it would have made a difference. We weren't able to. What they do a great job not fouling. I think that the good thing about playing the way they play is you don't, generally speaking, you don't foul that much and you don't exert as much energy.
It's a tougher guy to guard in the league.
I don't know. There's a lot of good players in the league. I'd have to think about that for a long time. Seems like every team we play, there's a guy who you want to know, is he the hardest guy to guard in the league? And
I get that.
probably that day, yeah. that day he will be.
Javon was saying he's kind of approaches practices different now, maybe looks at different things and watches film now. Did you see that too? And have you noticed any?
Well, I think he and Dax are both have
Right.
been. They're trying to learn. I mean, they're up in the film room probably more than anybody, other than maybe Wani and Gary, watching the teams we're going to play and watching what we need them to do as well.
I think Tariq only got something like 4 minutes at Baylor, but the next game when you wanted to get Javon off the ball a little bit, Tariq obviously played a lot at Kansas and followed that up at Okie State. Was there anything between the Baylor and Kansas game that made you think Tariq needs more time at point?
What do they say? We just didn't have. I mean, that was. Guys put themselves in a rotation. Mm-hmm. I've told you guys a lot. I mean, we start practicing. I said, give me 5 guys out here thinking I'm going to get 5 veteran guys, and Dax is always there. Mm-hmm. And every time somebody says, I got it, he goes, no, I was here first. I got it. Mm-hmm. And Dax put himself in there. I didn't put him in there. But those other guys let him put himself in there. And it's the same way with Tariq and Billy. When you're the bottom of the rotation, I didn't have anything to do with that. They did that themselves. Mm-hmm. And when guys move up the rotation, they do it themselves. And Tariq has played well. Mm-hmm. He's played well in practice. Tariq has spent as much time in the gym as anybody probably in the last 3 weeks to a month. Mm-hmm. So he goes from a guy who, when he shoots it, you say, oh no, why did he shoot it, to a guy that you think there's a great chance it's going to go in, but that's because he's put so much time in. They do it, and that's what you have to try to get them to come to grips with. Mm-hmm. It's not me. I'm like every other coach in the world. I'm going to play the guys I think are going to win. Mm-hmm. That doesn't have anything to do with anything else.
You had said when you were recruiting Javon that you noticed that he always got his hand on loose balls and all that. So does it come as a surprise that, I'm sure it doesn't, that he was all defensive team pick?
55 steals, they haven't seen the deflection chart. And it's not loose balls, it's just balls. Guys he's guarding, running through balls. He's really done a good job.
And his defense doesn't ebb and flow with making shots. It's pretty much constant, right?
Yeah, his problem has never been guarding. He's done a great job guarding.
Since you've had to insert Nate in the starting lineup, seems like he's been responding pretty well. What have you seen?
I thought Nate played pretty well coming off the bench. It's like everybody else. You have some games that you really don't want to talk about, but I think by and large he's been pretty consistent. It doesn't matter to Nate whether he starts or comes off the bench. I don't think that has anything to do with his play. Nate is a consummate team guy.
to look at him, he doesn't look like a guy who has a lot of lateral quickness and all that. He's got the length, but obviously his defense has come on this year. Is that people just undervaluing him?
Yeah, I think for a 6'8" guy, he moves his feet very well. But he's long. He's really not long. He does move his feet. He's not near as long as our other guys.